Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. World Bank's brief on poverty and equity in India. Significant milestone achieved in Scramjet engine development. Madhya Pradesh gets approval for PM MITRA Textile Park. 2025 marks the 70th anniversary of the Bandung Conference. UNDESA releases State of the World's Indigenous Peoples Report. Annual Master Plan for the River Cities Alliance approved. The World Bank has released its latest brief on poverty and equity in India, highlighting some major trends in the country's socio-economic landscape. Let's first talk about poverty. The brief reports a significant decline in extreme poverty, defined as living on less than $2.15 per day in PPP terms. It fell from 16% in 2011-12 to just 2.3% in 2022-23. Lifting around 171 million people above the global poverty line. The rural-urban gap in poverty has also been narrowed considerably, shrinking from 7.7% to just 1.7% over the same period. When we look at non-monetary poverty or multidimensional poverty, there has been a steep decline as well, from 53.8% in 2005-06 to 16.4% in 2019-21. However, the report also points out that 5 of India's most populous states, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal and Madhya Pradesh, account for 54% of India's extremely poor in 2022-23 and 51% of the multidimensionally poor in 2019-21. Now, moving on to the topic of inequality. India's consumption-based Gini index, which measures income inequality, has improved from 28.8 in 2011-12 to 25.5 in 2022-23. However, at the same time, income inequality has worsened, with the Gini index for income rising from 52 in 2004 to 62 in 2023, according to the World Inequality Database. To give you a sense of wage disparity, the median earnings of the top 10% are now 13 times higher than those of the bottom 10% for the year 2023-24. Shifting our focus to employment, there is a positive trend with rising employment rates, particularly among women. Urban unemployment has also fallen to its lowest levels since 2017-18. But challenges remain. Only 23% of non-farm paid jobs are informal, indicating a high prevalence of informal employment. And when it comes to gender disparities, even though the female employment rate has risen to 31%, there are still 234 million more men than women in paid work. These insights from the World Bank brief paint a complex picture, showcasing India's significant achievements while also underlining the road ahead for a more equitable and inclusive growth story. India has achieved a significant milestone in the development of Scramjet engine technology. The Defence Research and Development Laboratory, or DRDL, a key laboratory under the Defence Research and Development Organization, or DRDO, has successfully completed over 1,000 seconds of ground testing for an active cooled Scramjet subscale combustor. This latest ground test builds upon an earlier achievement reported in January 2025, when the combustor underwent 120 seconds of successful testing. Together, these developments mark a crucial step in advancing India's hypersonic weapon technology. Now, before we dive deeper, let's understand what a scramjet engine actually is. A scramjet, or supersonic combustion ramjet engine, is an advanced air-breathing jet engine that improves upon traditional ramjets by enabling efficient hypersonic speeds and allowing combustion to occur when the air is moving at supersonic speeds. In comparison, a ramjet uses the vehicle's forward motion to compress incoming air without using a compressor. Importantly, India is now the 4th country to have demonstrated the flight testing of a scramjet engine, a remarkable achievement in the world of aerospace engineering. To understand the breakthrough better, let's take a quick look at the comparison between ramjet and scramjet engine features. In a ramjet engine, there is slowed air fuel injection. Operation typically occurs between Mach 3 to 6 and the combustion process remains subsonic, On the other hand, a scramjet engine uses fast-moving air injection, operates at speeds above Mach 6, and enables supersonic combustion. This crucial difference gives scramjet engines a significant edge in achieving and sustaining hypersonic speeds. Moving ahead, let's briefly talk about hypersonic weapons, which stand to benefit greatly from this technology. Hypersonic weapons are capable of traveling at Mach 5 or faster, that is, at least 5 times the speed of sound, and are powered by air-breathing engines like scramjets. They fly at lower altitudes than ballistic missiles, making them harder to detect and track. There are 2 main types of hypersonic weapons. First, hypersonic glide vehicles or HGVs, which are launched from rockets like traditional ballistic missiles before gliding unpowered towards their targets. Second, hypersonic cruise missiles or HCMs, which are powered throughout their flight using scramjet engines. With the successful 1000-second ground test now completed, India takes a major step forward in mastering cutting-edge hypersonic propulsion technologies, further strengthening its strategic capabilities. In a significant development for India's textile sector, Madhya Pradesh has received approval for setting up a PM MITRA textile park under the central government's PM MITRA scheme. The park will be developed in village Pensola, located in the Dhar district of Madhya Pradesh. Expanding the view to the national level, a total of 7 PM MITRA parks have been approved for development across the country. Uttar Pradesh will establish a greenfield project in Lucknow. Gujarat will develop another greenfield park in Navsari. Maharashtra will set up a brownfield project in Amravati. Karnataka will host a greenfield project in Kalaburagi. Tamil Nadu will establish a greenfield park in Virudhunagar. Telangana will develop a brownfield park in Warangal, and Madhya Pradesh will set up a greenfield project in Dhar. Coming back to the scheme itself, PM MITRA, which stands for Mega Integrated Textile Region and Apparel, is a flagship initiative aimed at strengthening the Indian textile industry. The objective is to enable scale of operations, reduce logistics costs by housing the entire value chain at one location, attract investment and enhance export potential. The scheme draws inspiration from the Prime Minister's 5F vision: farm to fiber to factory to fashion to foreign, representing a seamless journey of Indian textiles from the fields to the global market. Moving to the financial and operational structure, the Ministry of Textiles is the nodal agency responsible for implementing the scheme. The total outlay for PM MITRA stands at 4,445 crore rupees over a period of 7 years, up to 2027 to 28. Financial assistance of up to 800 crore rupees per park will be provided for greenfield projects, while up to 500 crore rupees per park will be offered for brownfield projects. The eligibility criteria for states include the availability of a minimum 1,000 acres of contiguous, encumbrance-free land. Parks will be implemented through a special purpose vehicle jointly owned by the respective state government and the central government. Additionally, the Ministry of Textiles will monitor the project through a project management agency, which will provide the necessary technical and implementation support through the development process. With Madhya Pradesh now firmly on the PM MITRA map, the initiative marks a decisive step towards creating world-class textile hubs and positioning India as a global leader in textile manufacturing. This year marks the 70th anniversary of a landmark event in global history, the Bandung Conference. Let's take a closer look. The first Asia-Africa Summit, famously known as the Bandung Conference, took place in Bandung, Indonesia from April 18 to 24, 1955. In April that year, representatives from 29 governments of Asian and African nations gathered to discuss peace, the role of the Third World during the Cold War, economic development, and the ongoing struggle against decolonization. It was co-sponsored by Indonesia, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, India, and Pakistan. A key outcome of the Bandung Conference was the declaration of 10 core principles. These included political self-determination, mutual respect for sovereignty, non-aggression, non-interference in internal affairs, equality, among others. These principles not only shape the immediate future, but also lay the groundwork for a major movement. The Bandung Conference and its final resolution served as a precursor for NAM during the Cold War era. And that leads us to the Non-Aligned Movement, or NAM. NAM is an organization of states that did not formally align with the US or USSR and sought to remain independent. NAM formally took shape in 1961 against a backdrop of tensions between the USSR and the US, with its first conference held in Belgrade the same year. Its foundation was built directly upon the 10 principles of Bandung, adopted during the Bandung Conference. Today, the non-aligned movement consists of 121 members, including India. Interestingly, NAM does not have a formal founding charter or treaty, nor does it maintain a permanent secretariat. As the world reflects on the 70 years since Bandung, the conference continues to be a powerful reminder of solidarity, sovereignty, and the pursuit of an independent voice on the global stage. The United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, or UNDESA, has released the latest State of the World's Indigenous Peoples Report. This important document brings to light a concerning reality. Indigenous people receive less than 1% of international climate funding and are often excluded from climate solutions. Let's first understand how climate change is impacting indigenous communities around the world. Indigenous economies, which are largely dependent on agriculture, fishing, and forestry, are facing growing uncertainty. This, in turn, is diminishing their economic self-sufficiency and long-term sustainability. Moreover, the disruption of ancestral lands and ecosystems is severely affecting traditional land-based practices. This not only undermines environmental stewardship, but also threatens indigenous sovereignty. Health and well-being are equally at risk, as indigenous populations face increased vulnerability to climate-related health issues, compounded by limited access to healthcare and traditional food sources. Adding to these challenges, climate change poses a serious threat to the preservation of indigenous languages, traditions, and cultural identities, putting their rich linguistic and cultural heritage at risk. However, it is equally important to recognize the crucial role indigenous peoples play in fighting climate change. Despite representing just 6% of the global population, indigenous communities safeguard an astounding 80% of the planet's remaining biodiversity. The traditional knowledge developed over generations serves as a vital resource for the sustainable use and management of lands, territories, and natural resources. Indigenous agricultural practices in particular are known for caring for the earth without depleting its resources. There are compelling examples that highlight this relationship. The Comcac people of Mexico, for instance, encode rich ecological and maritime knowledge within their language. In Somalia, indigenous culture enforces environmental conservation through cultural norms. Prohibitions on cutting certain trees are passed down through proverbs, stories, and taboos rather than formal policy documents. With these insights, the UNDESA report serves as a powerful reminder. Safeguarding indigenous rights and knowledge is not only a matter of justice, but a crucial element in our global response to climate change. In a major step towards integrating river-sensitive planning into Indian cities, the National Mission for Clean Ganga, or NMCG, has approved the 2025 Action Plan under the River Cities Alliance. This plan aims to mainstream river-sensitive urban planning and development across member cities of the Alliance. The newly approved plan is comprehensive. It covers a series of capacity-building programs, the creation of knowledge exchange platforms, and the development of technical tools to assist cities in better managing their river ecosystems. To understand the background, the River Cities Alliance, or RCA, is a joint initiative of the Ministry of Jal Shakti and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. It was launched in 2021 with a clear objective: to strengthen institutional capacity, encourage intercity collaboration, and support the formulation and implementation of urban river management plans, or URMPs. Today, the RCA has grown to include 145 member cities, with the door always open for any river city to join at any time. Building on this, the URMP framework plays a crucial role. It was launched earlier in 2020 by the National Institute of Urban Affairs or NIUA in partnership with the NMCG. It represents a first-of-its-kind approach ensuring that the environmental, economic and social dimensions are carefully considered in the urban management of rivers. As of now, 5 cities, Kanpur, Ayodhya, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, Moradabad and Bareilly, have already prepared their urban river management plans. Notably, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar's Kham River Restoration Mission received global recognition by being honored with the World Resources Institute's Ross Center Prize for Cities. Now, turning our focus to the National Mission for Clean Ganga itself. The NMCG was registered as a society on August 12, 2011 under the Societies Registration Act of 1860. Its primary objective is to ensure the effective abatement of pollution and the conservation and rejuvenation of River Ganga by adopting a river basin approach. Originally, NMCG acted as the implementation arm of the National Ganga River Basin Authority or NGRBA, which was constituted under the Environment Protection Act 1986. However, in 2016, the NGRBA was replaced by the National Ganga Council, which is chaired by the Prime Minister. Today, the NMCG operates with a 2-tier management structure comprising a governing council and an executive committee, both headed by the Director General of the NMCG. With the approval of the 2025 Action Plan, the River Cities Alliance moves one step closer to transforming urban river management into a core part of India's urban future. In today's Personality in News, we will talk about Krishnaswamy Kasturirangan. Distinguished space scientist Dr. K. Kasturirangan passed away. Let's talk about his key contributions. In the field of space, he served as chairman of ISRO from 1994 to 2003, and under his leadership, key space missions were materialized, including the operationalization of the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle or PSLV and the first successful Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle or GSLV flight, the development of Earth observation satellites like Bhaskara 1 and 2, and conceptualizing India's first space-based high-energy astronomy observatory, AstroSat. In education, he chaired the Committee on Draft National Education Policy 2019. In the area of environment, he led a 10-member high-level working group for preparing a report on the ecologically sensitive Western Ghats, where the report proposed to identify 37% of the Western Ghats as environmentally sensitive. His values included visionary leadership, public service, among others. As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. Union Government notified GST Appellate Tribunal Procedure Rules 2025. These rules detail the procedure for filing, managing and adjudicating appeals before this quasi-judicial body. The UN Spotlight Initiative finds that climate change is intensifying the social and economic stresses that are fueling increased levels of violence against women and girls. Every 1 degree Celsius rise in global temperature is associated with a 4.7% increase in intimate partner violence. The Secretary General of the Ramsar Convention said that India has more Ramsar sites compared to China. India currently has 89 Ramsar sites, whereas China has 82. CAR National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources or NBFGR discovered 2 new species of fish. Both are freshwater fish and endemic to river systems, highlighting the role of the Western Ghats as a biodiversity hotspot. Scientists in USA have discovered bacteria named CA electrothrix yaconensis which conducts electricity. This bacteria is named after the Yacona people indigenous to the Yaquina Bay region, USA. Over 60% of the global land area has experienced temperature flips since 1961 as per study. Researchers observed that first intense flips likely began in the early 20th century, with acceleration in recent decades. A breakthrough method discovered of controlling properties of phonons. A phonon is a unit of vibrational energy resulting from the collective oscillation of atoms within a crystal. India's first indigenously developed HPV test kits for cervical cancer screening, validated by Department of Biotechnology. HPV is a common sexually transmitted infection which can affect the skin, genital area, and throat. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description.